I worked as a ranger, so most of my days were spent in the jungle. I was driving to work in the company car and began measuring and photographing until late in the evening, after which I would return home. Chen, an unmarried middle-aged man, was the driver of my company. Shen drove me and my colleague to work as usual, set a timer to pick us up and quickly drove away. However, the sky was beginning to darken at the foot of the mountain today, and Chen had yet to come back, causing me and my colleague great concern. My colleague waited in rage because if it got dark, getting out of this forest would be dangerous because the road was very rough. The car arrived after the sun had completely set. Of course, my colleague and I were both exhausted. As my colleague carried his belongings to the car, he irritated the driver by being slow and late for his appointment. My colleague then sat next to the driver. Instead of apologizing for what he had done, this driver simply explained that he had a reason for picking us up so late. However, my colleague's reaction was one of curiosity rather than sympathy. Seeing this, the driver offered to buy this colleague a meal as an apology and promised to tell him the incident that caused him to be late. That evening, the driver drove my colleague to his home and ate a simple meal. His mother brought out a large plate of food from the kitchen. Because both of them had to work the next day, so they couldn't drink much, just ate a simple meal with a bit of wine. At the start of the meal, the colleague inquired of the driver as to why he went to the forest so late today. The driver stated that he had been driving early, but on the way he came across a beautiful girl and assisted her. He was driving to the edge of the forest at the time. However, on the way he was unexpectedly met by a person standing in front of his car. The driver rushed over and saw a young girl beckoning him with a towel, but she was alone, as if she was lost. What struck him about this girl was the white handkerchief she used to call him, and she appeared to be a girl from a recluse and traditional family living in the forest. He couldn't leave a young girl being alone like that in the jungle, so he went over to her, stopped the car in front of her, and inquired about her situation. The young girl approached the driver gently and asked if he could drive her to her house because she was lost and couldn't find her way home. Seeing such a lovely young lady, the driver couldn't help but invite her to his car and ask for her address so that he could bring her home as soon as possible. After showing the driver the way, the two sat happily chatting side by side. The girl's young feminine beauty quickly captivated the driver, making him a little enamored. According to the young lady's instructions, the driver finally could take her home on the trail that led to the forest's end. She also told the driver that she was worried when leaving her mother at home alone. This made the driver even more smitten with the young lady. He couldn't take his eyes off her face. He kept looking at her and was always being caught by her. After a while, the driver also dropped her off in a residential area surrounded by vast fields where she could walk home. After that, the young girl went into her house, but the driver continued to keep an eye on her figure. He discovered that she had left items in his car. It was her white handkerchief. Perhaps she was in a hurry, so she forgot it on the chair. Because he was still busy with work and believed that this handkerchief was a predestined sign that would allow him to see the young girl again, he decided to keep it so that the next day he would have a reason to see her again. Hearing this, my colleague became excited, smiled happily at the driver and promised to accompany him the next day. As usual, the driver arrived early the next morning to pick up the colleague, and the two of them set off together. The driver was supposed to take this colleague to the other girl's house first, according to the original plan. However, I was in the car, making the two of them feel hampered. When the other colleague noticed this, he immediately discussed with the driver leaving me in the forest and then go to the girl's house to return the handkerchief to her. That day, I had to work alone in the forest, and the two of them returned to the old road to get to the girl's house. Upon arrival in the residential area, my colleague went to ask the neighbors for the girl's exact address. According to the description, the two eventually found a neighbor who knew the young girl's address and was eager to accompany them. The girl's house was at the far end of the village, and the outside was deafeningly quiet. The two came up to the door and boldly knocked. After a while, the girl's mother emerged from the house and inquired as to what they were looking for. They both said, "Come here to return the items to the girls in the house." However, this mother did not allow the two to enter the house and loudly chased them away because she suspected the two were imposters. When my colleague felt the situation was very strange, he immediately blocked the door and insisted on entering the house to meet the girl, but his aggressive demeanor frightened the elderly mother even more. According to the mother, these two were the impersonating scammers. The driver only recently confirmed that he was the one who brought this girl home yesterday. However, the mother did not believe it and even insisted that such a strange thing could not happen. When the driver noticed this, he immediately took out the girl's handkerchief to show her mother. When the mother saw the handkerchief, she immediately changed her attitude. Her face was a little sorrowful, and she inquired as to why the two of them had the handkerchief. After that, the mother invited these two men into the house, where they were surprised to discover the truth. The mother offered the two some drinks and thanked them for bringing the handkerchief back because it belonged to her deceased daughter. She couldn't hide her emotion as she looked at her child's handkerchief, breaking down in tears when she remembered her poor daughter. She stated that her daughter was in the forest a few days ago when she unintentionally stepped on a landmine and she could not survive. The villagers discovered the girl's charred black body, but she couldn't close her eyes with peace because she didn't have her handkerchief. With the discovery of her daughter's handkerchief, the mother could finally use it to cover her daughter's disfigured face in the coffin and bury her. After telling the truth, the mother also sent the two men on the road late at night. The two of them left with a great concern about the fact that Chen had met the girl's spirit in the forest. After that, my colleague also forgot about it. He and I set out for the forest the next morning, but he refused to let me take the same bus that day. When the colleague saw the driver's emaciated appearance as he was getting into the car, he expressed concern. Didn't know why his face became so haggard after only one night. He immediately recounted how he had trouble sleeping that night before when he dreamt that the spirit of the dead girl came to demand to bring him to hell. The girl appeared with her body covered in blood and worms, looked at the sleeping man and touched his face with her hand. He could feel the coldness of the girl's dead body, especially when her hand was passionately caressing him. The man awoke immediately and stayed awake all night because he was too terrified. Seeing this, my colleague tried to calm him down, ensuring him that nothing would happen. That day, the car and my co-driver unexpectedly rushed down the abyss and burst into flames.